Right now, gis nañ ne president bi mu ngi nekk on a tour, meet the people tour, constitutionally mandated tour. But then again, more jama ni la mo ikafuye ko, you know what? The tour has drifted from its intended purpose as per the constitution. Instead, it has been torn as a political tool. And people also will tell you, also to advance the city, because of how it's been torn to be a politically motivated tool, it is an advantage over everybody else. Because if you look at it, yes, election is going to be next year, 2026, right? The election cycle is going to start with the presidential election. Then we go to the parliamentary, then the local government. But other parties have not started officially campaigning. Yes, they do their grassroots consultations, sensitization, engagement. But now you have somebody campaigning openly in disguise of meet the people tour, using law to violate things. Quickly, what's your take on that before we even get into this stuff?
No, I think it's a very valid point. Just like many Gambians, this is something that I have been concerned about. I just came back from a trip to CRR yesterday. Earlier on, when the president started his tour, I crossed paths with him in URR. So I have seen with my own eyes, in many ways, like what you see if you are in the combos is a small fraction of the wastage. But the main point I think that you raise here is the valid point. Yes, this is something constitutionally mandated, but I hope down the road this is something will change, because it's something that is easy to be abused and is currently being abused right now. The incumbency comes with a lot of advantages. To go and add an advantage such that where you have millions of dollars being budgeted for the president, and when he is going, we all know there are suitcases of money that are also trailing. What we know are the officially reported one. The unofficial amount, nobody has any clue that is being given out. And people will tell you, I've met people who receive cash from the president. How that cash, the genesis of that cash, in what way it was given, nobody knows. There's no accountability, whether it's from the government budget, or whether it's people that have this that we have the state capture problem with. This is a big problem. So in the future, this is something Gambians should very carefully think about removing from the constitution. The point is not to say that the president will not go and meet the people. In any democracy where a government has to go and meet the people, you have an incentive on your own to go out there on your own. Nobody has to tell you. It doesn't need to be constitutionally mandated. It makes sense. You will have to go. And the president has such advantage, he will have no problem going. But to add this significant amount of resources, where there is no accountability, what is budgeted is far less than what is actually spent. The manner of its expenditures, nobody really has any clue. It's a very troubling thing. I remember when he was having this meeting in Sare Alpha, that day Garawans at Sare Alpha was driving back to the country, to the combos. Every single governor, from NBR, other parts of the country, I saw their convoys in their very high fuel consuming vehicles, all going there. What are the governors in NBR, in LRR doing in a meeting in URR? So you see project vehicles, you see all of these things being commandeered to go and ferry people who are not there to assist the president do his constitutional job, but simply to go and do a blatant political campaign. So this is something that is disturbing, and people should know that the level playing field is made even more unlevel right now, and it's something that we have to give serious thought to down the road to removing from the constitution.
Thank you very much. Now, let me piggyback from, you've mentioned two things, governors from other regions, leaving their regions to go to another region just to attend a meeting. Now, to follow up to that, we see ministers also, all of them, basically most of the meetings, when you look at it, you can count at least, more than 10 ministers lined up in those meetings when their offices are left over here. That's one. Now, two, also, when you mention the wastage, right, and the lack of accountability, I have here data from Gambia Participate, right, who did compare the actuals, the budgeted and the actuals of the Meet the People tour from 2020 to 2025.
Right.
Even though the 2025 budget approved is stated, but we don't know yet because it's not yet end of 2025. Actually, the tour has not ended.
Yes.
For the actuals to be presented for us to know that figure.
Exactly.
But if we follow the trend, people can comfortably say that it's going to surpass.
Absolutely.
The approved amount. If you look at 2020, the approved was 6 million, but the actual was 32 million. In 2021, again, the approved was 6 million. The actual was 43.52 million. Huge. 2022 approved was 6. The actual was 25. It came down a little bit. I don't know what the justification was, because if that happened and they still had the Meet the People tour, now the question is, why is it going high on other years?
Exactly.
But just moving along, in 2023, the approved was 10 million. They spent 61.36 million. And in 2024, the approved was 30 million. They spent 64.67. In 2025, this current year, that the tour is ongoing, they approved 40, but we don't know yet.
We have to find out.
Now, my question is, the people that do the budget, every time you budget less, they spend more, but you still budget less than the actual. I don't know if what sense does that make? Because when you're budgeting, it has to be based on the actual, the reality.
Yes.
Now, if you spend 3-4 years in a row, what you budget, approve, they exceed it maybe double or 3 times, but you still go ahead and approve less.
Yeah.
Help us dissect that.
No, this actually is a specific example of a general problem in the Gambia government budgeting. But it's actually a bit more concerning and sinister than that. In many sectors, what you would see is that what is projected in the budget, will either be significantly higher or lower. But whether it's higher or lower depends on the sector or the office. Places like the office of the president, places like the store, things that have nothing to add to the national development, you will find that what is actually spent is far higher than what is budgeted. In some other sectors that are important nationally, I'll give an example of education. You will find that the amount that is put there, for instance, for school improvement grant, if you talk to people who trust you at the Ministry of Basic Education, who will tell you things in confidence, they struggle getting that money that has been allocated for school improvement grants. Sometimes they'll be struggling until the end of the year. The ministry will be dragging its feet because it actually wants to slash it. And the amount that is actually budgeted is very, very little. It's one of the lowest in Africa per student. The point here, so that's a general problem where what is called budget credibility. This has been noted by many institutions, by IMF, by World Bank, and of course by Gambia Participate, which is there is a lack of credibility in this particular government. They are very, very egregious in this respect, where what they say they will do and what they end up doing is very different. So this is something where whenever I'm analyzing the budget, I always make this note there. Of course, you can look at the allocation. There is huge misallocation. The amount, for instance, you see them playing games, the amount that is going to the office of the president this year, they reduced it a bit. It looks like that's a reduction. But what did they do? There was never, the vice president's office is always in the state house budget. It never had its own separate line in the budget.
Right.
For the first time this year, they gave a separate line for the vice president's office so that people will think the allocation to state house has gone down. But the vice president has always been part of the state house budget. And when you add it, the allocation is well over $1 billion. It continues the same trend of wasting. So here, going back to your question, ni bekeri njandron tiaro mi alan kon data jelo wolbe keka ni man sakunda ko bitani le spend la e kata min spend akatambi woti adi ba dum kan ko min da manki kudi mi alon ko banko la nyato talibi ji ko mi ala be de mala politiko la karola so momi nyanda ka to yafo ka good advice the president wala wolbe Ministry of Finance le but right now mom be sitting na Ministry of Finance Mr. Sidi Keita, who is one of the most incompetent ministry. Omala Dokolo, ku jamal bije me ga kasaro ke bankole ji you know so mo si ba no bije mi ala mala dogo ka nyanda kala nyame what is sino la tonya for president we ajube fa hanni auditor general nyim bayindro min keta o timbale min keta ji instead of ala dogo kiji atata ala dogo ya ka nyama bada dum ka ko min man kala dogo ti ikalo nyame fa nyim man sekunda la nyim bito do ko man tata ka nyama comme adum politique la manke comme constitutional mandate things minister mi be diamuka ni be diamuka jama ke dadu ko min manke la dogo ti demba sabal lota la ko ha diamuka health sector ko wala demba sabal manke minister of health yes jami fenki be diamula baro diamula ba fa ko min ko America e kala jara wala jang demba sabal le fo ada ndu diamu baratala bunda abdade wolem sella la koti amam fenelo koto ala diamu buka siya koto so nyimba sekunda niaje nyintiaro be kala eka kuwelde ke miyalon ko imanyanna kala legally ila minister miyalo yentanda la na president wala nyin diamu ala nyin tobe mu development na quality ite minister ni tata ye londi yenet enyata diamu la sector la ko wala imanyene da dum da sector do la ko wala ba ni de lota je be sector do la ko fola wala nyitande ko ite bije ibe fen ko wala ibe campaign la political campaign ite ko wala fo kam bimbi NPP ma ko la amanke banko la koti wala nyim problem wala
then problem waratale because the amounts, if you look at this amount, they're huge, right? I mean, when you total it, you see that it's like almost 200 and something percent increment from what is being approved from 2020 to 2024 and 2025, and what has been, spent in actuality. Exactly. It's crazy. Now, moving on, we still saw also in the same, the debt interest and amortization also. It's like an upward trend. What can you tell us? Why is it going up, right, and not going down? But again, with all these loans that we are servicing, you wouldn't see the effects that you can put it at par and say the amount of loans that has come in this country, it has been spent on this, and you can say it, and it's impactful to the citizenry.
No, okay, that one is very obvious when you look at this budget. Our debt is increasing, which means our debt service, what we have to pay annually to our creditors, each year is increasing significantly. What is really scary about it, in the last budget, it was already over 1/3. For every $100, 30% or $30 goes to creditors. In order of the amount of money that goes to service our debt is more than what we put in agriculture, is more than what we put in education, is more than what we put in health, in any of these important sectors. Again, debt is not a problem. If you take the debt and you use it correctly, people see the value of it. Let me give you one example of a debt that is taken, is significant, and nobody has benefited. Madagakawan. Sade do ebe wulli kafuje limbambulu. Abe wulli isle. Limbambulu, yes. Je wole faro sulu je yal ko sate
Richard.
You know there. Okay.
Sate nan le denta faro la faro ni awarta. It's like 1 kilometer by 500 meters. It's 50 hectares. ADBA loan di Masakundara about $500 million. Munem pour ye develop pour wol si mano seneje samati le kandi isi masingo soto amanke je damati damfa kunda be jelani sati dol bari just for the sake of time fengo be focus on sati flow leka wo loan di ni Masakundara ila first year in power, the first disbursement kodoti le wato mena 2017 ni Masakundara ta contractor ya di jomalla, a friend of the president. Woman manifaro doku amalo.
Last time wole nyini kala ko wo mari yemin yedoko bi munna wole mala doku wolati ay track record soto ay history soto.
Exactly. So the answer is very simple. Damfa kunda limbambulu ye contractor di minna. President teri male. Ala president business jama diala. Mina nyin safela nyaado ndadu mba mari to fola jele. Bari min kum mari la fami nyitanda mbola wala lonni na karola. Lonni 500 million yewole di masakundala adun jandi be o bila masakundala wala foro da doku kandenu ipo mo ka kata nyame ka do no miso je ba traika
kila fansun ko ke
ha e ka jebe senele bari kabirin nim contrat ko dara nyim lonta 500 million kabirin masakunda contrat ko di nyin ala nyin teri mala ay nyin la faro tinya ndara fo limbambule la faro do lota je numbo e kamin sen o 50 hectares bi kamin sen hani 10 hectares abukasi ay faro bele tinya anyanta bulo mi lola pour pumping station kala je amamba canal sol ani levis mi ndaka jobondi bato kanaka irrigation ke nyile amamba ye dinkol 1540 tan wala mi yalon ka amamba be dinkare ne sapino loko wala bewo ka faawo dinkol kon wo sabe o be sili njile numbo e kamin sen say bu ko fonctionner ntada jele fo dulato lota je nin sate ko mul diamuta natalo ben bulle mba findindil so bari hani say a projet ko nin say a lon nin tatal ni le contrat ko soto ela bank account ol faada ela bunjangol lo ela business ol tamande bari na doku la mil be wul mi yalo ko 50 hectares hectare kili nin ne je sene e nyanda kamin soto e nyanda kala several tons de per hectare and they have 50 sate na le denta wala bi ni fota da ni sama ko no fota de faro kon hani na manke kolandin kili because ni je do ko ama do kuno so la do bije ka dinkale joka loje yame ite mano tutu no laje so da fe won mil kanaje o dinkol ko loje e ka dunjele fa hani mbasin kilinti je hani fenne man jobu ka borile levis nyol be katita so ngaw 500 loan ta adum do loan jolale for the next 30 years because sign thing next year be kala the 10-year grace period be ban for the next 30 years ndel do loan jolale bar nga muna soto je hani fe banko me nafaje do kulal me nafaje bar wo loan ndel sa wosa mba bonda na budget ko nga ADB jo wo kola to make things worse ni massa ko ndata ngare loan do fananta ko teke e ko hawo do ko man ka nyama be loan do tala pour nga muru nga sayin kan je kan ko teke
for the same work
yes for the same work ide project ide loan do fananta so wala minte ko nyimma sakunda e ka loan minta e ka dundi dame amanke kilindi is another example odi la na nawek ka powership bi jawato minna 7-year deal wala sort with government o sanyi wo wul kono government ye jomi na $200 million sa wosa e ka 30 million ne soto yo be adika bondi na budget ko ne ka di wala wol tar jani sanyi wor wala e muruta wala return min soto je man mo soto banku doto sai o 200 million de do jolale kota ke sanji jama bara en na famu ne la because kabeni bije lo kululo 30 megawatts le bije wo kululo be anyanta sana $30 million la bari ndel ke jo wala sa wosa abugo ne bungolo bungo nyim mu 5 million neti ite na re ko lefta bungolo wase la bi nko ko ite la lwaso be kala ichi ya be kala 5 million neti wole ke mol so wo 200 million o ndel be karla wo jola for the next several decades so loan min tada jan loan min ben tel kawla abetarna ndungo kawla because for the next 30 years ndungo betarna ja skero ko mama ngol fawle taraja amam banko nafa adon president wo mo leta milliard ko be katarina dala terimal ay wolle nafa ay banko be bale wala na problem woti nyim banko ka
hey I look like a rookie right now. No, I don't mean to laugh. Honestly, it's disheartening. It's disheartening. See, the cash power thing, yalong kabirin cash power benung jang. Nteno modo kashaki power kulu. You know, power also they were doing services in Senegal. Lari nyi kabirin aya faran fanchenye. Ko ye nyim foteng. Kaya janim ba luas la. Munate nantasan nantol aseken ntati. Yena ta. Den ninga ta puma masula la potengke. Ntol fan ngata banku do ngani service dile la nga kodo soto je yena sa I mean
e ka nyim fo wala nyim 200 million ni ota e power plant lo Gambia ja na nyim power plants milbe Gambia milbe kotore mi yalon ko ila lubricant needs ila tulol ning ila diesel anim fenkol ibe nyina la wo bela lefa nyim 200 million asi 200 megawatts power plant lo Gambia ja adu neolo obe ko min dila molla Gambia korda business asi kuran soto nole o ko la fo do tuje nimbe tulaje nde so wafi no Senegal fo warangi ni bisaw fo
exactly
bara ado nyame jambi hani sa Senegal nga kro min tawul bulu mbuka wol jono ka pa aussi kabri be nyim fonkela that was in fact a letter of credit masakunda min fongo sabe mi alon ko one of the local banks they offer pour ni la payment letter demanding bro government better la on a big hope so mbenta fa nyinin kala munat na masakunda be okay kam kurawol bitakal amam mosi benyum ko diba be dum ni kanyil bulu because dole be ji mil be fan nafaka adun tata nyilla audited NAWEC they have each year they have audited annual reports and while they are out there nga article safele ka nyitandi sawosa e ka fo min e ka min di ka powership la anite fonka e ka min fo ya di anu wata min fo di the reality million le be tema yes mol le bije miyal be nafakan so abu ko ni ko e ko ka powership nga 30 million de dila e ko demanding ka fujele million dama so auditor na wat ni a check ni a cross da ka powership la counter e ko ali ni le government bulo go ha ni da general ledger of NAWEC e ka min traje ani wo million le katare tema
to the inflated
yes wo sanji woro bulo ni aji continue avec kela na president wala minister of energy nyol wol bet wol kata cabinet ro muna na man nyin ko nyininka molle bije ni masakunda ko mi ko sawo million katete le jifo kon so president si lono mo la yafu mole ko abi universal electricity sol hanisa be kurango sankan Senegal nkamin sawol bulu abe donto kanne hanisa ngamin soro na capacity
anu yalo amanke dontoro fante nyem mo fana ay mi explain yalo tulka kapawa kurango sannun kapawa right the rate Senegal's own is lower,
yes.
way lower. But the irony here is what Senegal is selling to us, the leftover they have, they sell to us, is still higher than what we are paying car power.
It's still lower.
Exactly.
Coming the quantity.
Yeah.
Yes, because Senegal can 15 megawatts
the rate.
Oh, the rate.
Yeah, the rate. Because car power, let's say, for example, if car power is selling to us, let's say 50, right, per kilowatt. They're selling to Senegal, let's say 25 or 30 per kilowatt.
Okay.
But then Senegal is selling to us, let's say 65 or 70 per kilowatt. You understand here? So it doesn't make any sense, you know, to have to buy at a higher rate. Why didn't you increase the capacity with this? Because that rate is lower. Because when they explained this, it blew my mind.
There are electricity company of the Senegal. I was on some of those projects, like Mimbe Malekunda, for instance. I was in those projects, and in Project Jamal Mimbe Senegal. World Cup company bi yemeka kurawot da ika produce ika wapi Senegal. So when Senegal ba sankam minna, they pay that company and ba use can nationally. Sa endel dum nekeka instead of telefana ngata do nyili mil bina Gambia lojang inga stawol bulu directly. So wol ba African Senegal bina African telka Senegal fana mbela mako kafuka aka bari hanimo Senegal kamin wafin telma kurawuni o price le doyata be min jokan ka pawala because wala dinda man sekunda ngi nyinin kala sinya jama pour the power purchase agreement min ke nin ka power system e man son ka findi ko si yalla ne min bije so ku jama min bije nga kalamta jame nga kiskis lo leke comme ngawo Senegal bia bridge wala ko kiskis nyame fo nga soto nyanda soto la nyame but ita hanyela yo contract ko nin ka power CP min sai ita hanyela because jele mbalon na nyele wala banko kasarale ni ko moliye ko ibe Gambia be so la kurawla jele mbalon no manke toñaati yewuli million keme fula yo tiñadami sanyi wala kono ita ko kono sotla mun dole right now wala la ite min tiña yemin de ka power CP la wala siata yemin di agriculture ministry la wala siata yemin di ministry of education wala siata yemin di energy ministry la wala siata yemin di ministry of health la adi yo beke sanji sanji wor wala damala ko so akude aku kabako waraba